Good morning and welcome to week 7. We are already getting some football across the pond once again this weekend. We are getting ready to answer all your start and sit questions for you. Needed a co-pilot to help me navigate this treacherous week 7 with me. So, Mr. Eric Harms, how are you doing this morning?
I'm doing fantastic, Jeff. Thanks for having me on again, and we'll get rolling here answering some questions. Excited.
Yes. Yep. Got some questions rolling in. Got some big news breaking this morning as well. So, Eric, I know that we did a podcast about June, and you were not the biggest of fan of Hassan Reddick back in June. And some news broke this morning that he is now going to sign a deal to kind of get him into the team. They'll continue to work on a long-term contract, but they voided the $12 million in fines. So it sounds like he's going to be there tomorrow at the facility to start working out. So what are your thoughts on Hassan Reddick going forward?
I think you should look on your waiver wire to see if he's out there and pick him up. I think once he gets going, he'll be a good play on that Jets defense. And not going to play this week. He's going to report to practice tomorrow. But I think mostly worried how it exactly affects Michael Clemens and Will McDonald and what the playing time looks like. Reddick last year for the Eagles was playing 65 to 85% of snaps each week. Last week, McDonald and Clemens were both playing in the 70% area. So I don't know. They should dip down a little bit from that, I would think. So, yeah, we'll see how it all pans out.
If you're able to add him on your squad this week, are you playing him next week, or are you going to give him a week to kind of get up to speed and see how he fits in? Because, you kind of mentioned the rotation and snaps last year and alignment and all that good stuff. Are you going to give him a week, or do you think you're just going to throw him to the wolves right away in week 8?
I mean, it depends on who you have, what your injuries and bye weeks look like. If you don't, and I'd be watching for news on him this week and see, what they're saying on how they're gonna bring him along slowly. A lot of times teams will kind of say what their plans are. I would lean towards not playing him next week and seeing how he's playing, how many snaps.
What if he has a super great matchup, like let's say New England?
And he's going to play. Gosh, you'd almost have to get him in there, wouldn't you?
Yep, I was just thinking
Cleveland.
He does have New England next week, so that's why.
Does he? Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, with New England, I guess it depends on what your roster looks like.
Yeah. Yep. So, well, that's fantastic. So, got a lot of questions rolling in already this morning. Appreciate everyone joining us once again. We are going to dive into the questions, starting here with our friend Sebastian. Sebastian has kind of an interesting one here to start us off. Good morning, guys. Would you drop Kaiser White or Jack Campbell in dynasty leagues to stream either Sherwood, Mac Wilson, Landman, or Hewitt this week? So a little background here. Kaiser White had a knee injury last weekend, only played like 30% of snaps. He was limited practice all week, questionable to play this week. So if he doesn't go, you would think Mac Wilson would just absorb a lot of those snaps. Chris Barnes was another name that kind of stepped up last week in his absence. Jack Campbell hasn't played 100% of snaps more than once this season. Last weekend for Detroit, they had like a really weird, almost Kansas City Chief-like rotation. No linebacker played more, and I don't know if that's because Anzalone was coming off of an injury, but there were like 5 linebackers last week for Detroit that got some snaps. So, Eric, what are you thinking here? Are you feeling one or the other? Dynasty is always tough to drop Campbell because I'm sure if you have him on your roster, you probably invested decently in him to get him and acquire him. The knee injury to Kaiser White is kind of tough, but Sherwood has been fantastic this season. So it's kind of tough not to play him if he's available.
Yeah, but Mosley came back last week, and they said they were going to ease him in, so he only played 10 snaps. I'm a little bit leery of what that looks like this week, Mosley and Sherwood. I was having some highway thoughts yesterday when I was driving around for work or Friday, and One of them was, how does this all shake out with Chuck Clark leaving on IR? Do they swing Sherwood back to a safety a little bit, get him in the box to maybe take some of those snaps? I don't know how it all is going to shake out with Mosley coming back. I assume they're going to get him going again this week, but that's just a little bit dicey for me on how that's all going to shake out. Gosh, I'd hope if you have somebody playable, somewhat comparable to these guys on your bench. I'm guessing you don't, and that's why you're asking this question. You know me, I hate to drop Jack Campbell. I couldn't do it.
Yep. You've been with him for a long time.
Yeah. So
one caveat to this too, Eric, is this looks like a pretty shallow dynasty league if some of these names are available on roster. So I don't know if I would have as hard of a time letting one of these players go, just because there's a lot of great options here. Like, I might be inclined to let Kaiser White go this week, in hopes that maybe I can re-sign him, with the knee injury. It looks like, Mac Wilson makes for a great plug and play. Landman makes for a great plug and play. Hewitt's going to be amazing this week with both Alshire and 202 out. He would probably be my play this week. I would lean towards dropping Kaiser White and picking up Hewitt myself.
I think I would lean towards Mac Wilson. He's been playing well even when Kaiser White was healthy. And if you're not able to get Kaiser White back after this week, when he's healthy again, I think Mac Wilson's still a pretty strong play going forward. That's probably what I would do, and then see if you can get White or another linebacker back at some point.
Yeah, now that you mentioned, like with the Mac Wilson snaps, he played since week 3, 87% of snaps, 85% of snaps, 84% of snaps, and then 92% of snaps last week when Kaiser White was out. So,
yeah, that's what I would do. I'd drop Kaiser and pick up Mac Wilson, and I think even if you don't get Kaiser back, you can keep Mac Wilson for the rest of the year, and he's been playing really well. So.
So Eric's playing the long game. I'm winning. I'm trying to win week 7. So, all right. Best of luck to you, Sebastian. Carter's got a couple questions here for us. A couple lineup decisions across all 3 positional groupings. So Carter wants to know, of these 4 linebackers, who would you sit? I need to start 4 of these: KJ Britt, Diablo, Tyrell Dodson, Trevin Wallace, and Dorian Williams. So of those 5, Eric, who is probably the one that rides the pine for you?
Well, Wallace, Williams, and Dodson are definite starts. So it's between Britt and Diablo.
Yep.
And a second here.
I'm fully in agreement on those names.
Yeah.
It was nice to see Diablo bounce back with 93% of snaps last week.
Yeah. Buccaneers have the better matchup against the Ravens. Yep. Well, actually, the Rams are a really good matchup too.
Since the Royce Dennis injury, Britt has played, a healthy amount of snaps. He's played, 89, 93, and 100% of snaps. So he's getting the volume. He just wasn't making the tackles last week. So even though he did have a dud last week, I'd almost be inclined to give him one more shot this week with matchup and the percent of snaps.
That's the way I'm leaning to, is towards Britt on this one.
All right. So yeah, we're gonna sit Diablo of your linebackers there, Carter. Looking at some defensive line questions here. Also, needs to start 2 of these 4: Will Anderson, Sam Herbert, Ajish Ojolari, and Brian Young. So Will Anderson's a no-brainer, especially after his multi-sack performance last week. So brings us down to the 3 there, Eric. You got Hubbard, Ojolari, who was stepping in for Thibodeau, who did fantastic last week, couple tackles and 2 sacks, and then Byron Young. So is there one that's screaming, play me?
Yeah, look at that list again. Not Hubbard's out for me. It's between Ojolari and Brian Young. think I'd I think I'd probably go with Brian Young against the Raiders on this one.
That's where I was leaning to, looking at the matchup and things like with that. I was leaning towards Brian Young, even though he does play a little more interior than on the outside. But in this case, I think talent prevails here. So,
yeah, I don't know. Brian Burns is also on injury report, and he's questionable today. I don't know how that affects Aziz. I mean, he should get the snaps, obviously, but are they focused more on him as well? But
sure.
I'd go Byron Young.
Especially after the 2-sack performance last week. So,
yep.
All right. And Carter has one more looking at his secondary here. He needs 2 of these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 defensive back options. Looking at Harrison Smith, Cameron Bynum, CJ Gardner-Johnson, Quentin Lake, and Von Bell. So immediately I'm throwing Von Bell off that list just because of he's starting to lose some snaps to Jordan Battle. If Jordan Battle is available on your waivers, might not be a terrible stash right now just because he's seen increased snaps at the expense of Von Bell. Quentin Lake probably is a for sure for me. He's just been fantastic alignment.
Yeah, but he started to play a little bit more back here recently, which kind of worries me. He's been playing a little bit more deep lately since Darius Williams came back, which is kind of a weird thing to make that all shift around. But
do you think that was like a 1 week?
It could be
deal, or
it could
because I know that the linebackers kind of lost some snaps too, which seemed really odd that Rosaboom and Reeder lost snaps when a cornerback came back into play. So
it was kind of a strange thing. The Vikings have a strong matchup with the Lions. Lions have a good offense. I like to play guys against a good offense, and
very much so.
Eagles have the Giants, who are probably going to pepper Malik Neighbors with targets. I would say I'd be tempted to start Bynum and Gardner-Johnson, but I could definitely see Bynum and Quentin Lake too.
Yeah, I was going to go Cameron Bynum just in a matchup this week against Detroit. Like you said, good offenses often yield to good IDP results. So I'm going to go Lake and Bynum. Eric's going to go CJ Gardner-Johnson and Bynum. So Bynum and then your flavor of the week between those two. So best of luck, Carter. Thanks for the questions. Appreciate it. Hokie wants to know Tyler Nubin or Bynum this week. Big play league. So we're talking about the great matchup that Bynum has. Nubin has been a 100% snap guy for the Giants this season, playing against the Eagles. Depending on what Eagles offense shows up. If it's the Eagles offense versus the Browns last week, probably not a great matchup, but you got to think big division game. Going to come ready to play. I kind of like Nubin and his consistency with snaps. He's been a pretty consistent tackler. Not a lot of big plays, though, for Nubin. So, Hokie did mention this is a big play league. So, haven't seen that yet from Nubin, but you got to think with those snaps, it's coming soon.
Yeah, he did make big plays in college, but I think I'm still leaning Bynum this week on this one.
Yep. I'm agreed. Like the big play league kind of sways me that way, especially with Jason Pinnock being the pass rushing safety of the two. He's been getting a lot of pass rush opportunities and a lot of sacks, and Nubin's been kind of playing that deep center field, racking up the tackles. So big play, we're going Bynum this week. Best of luck to you, Hokie. Summer's got a couple questions here. We got choosing 2 defensive backs between Jalen Carley, defensive back in my league. He's the Indianapolis Colts player who's probably going to play a lot of linebacker for EJ Speed this week. Grant Delpit or Jonathan Bullard from the Packers, or Tyrion Johnson with the Buffalo Bills. Gotten across as my first DB. So does playing 2 defensive backs from the same team help or hurt this decision for you, Eric?
I don't typically like to do that, but you're not really playing 2 defensive backs. If Carley's is playing, he's going to be playing more of a linebacker role, I think. Unless they bring Obi into play. I haven't really heard how they're going to do that, but
So you're kind of gambling on
I think
alignment
you're
there.
gambling. I think you're gambling.
I love Delpit's matchup this week versus Baltimore.
Yep.
Yeah,
That's the one
I
that
think you
stuck
just
out
go
to me.
Cross and Delpit. Yeah,
Yep.
I think Cross and Delpit are the easy answers here without trying to get too cute. But great question. A lot of great options there to choose from. Great job drafting, playing the waiver wire. Thank you, Summer, for the question. BK Broiler, morning, guys. Choosing two here: Jared Verse, Will McDonald, or Daniil Hunter. So this might be Will McDonald's swan song if Eric's guy Hassan Reddick comes back to form, so he might be playing for snaps. Daniil Hunter seems like the obvious start here to me.
Yep.
And then I'm choosing between Verse and McDonald.
And I think I'm playing McDonald. The Steelers' offensive line has been horrible. Russell Wilson might be starting this week instead of Fields, although I don't know if I believe what they've been saying on that he's planning on starting him. But I think I'd go McDonald and Hunter on this one.
I'm with you. Good luck, BK brother. Darren's got welcome to the show, Eric. Eric's been a staple on the show. We love having him on. Appreciate it. This must be Will McDonald week for questions. Every week we seem to have a flavor of the week, and Will McDonald is the flavor this week. So
last week it was a group of defensive backs.
Yes, it was. Yep. Will McDonald and Grenard. I love Grenard's efficiency. I know that he hasn't been getting the sack numbers, but he's been applying a lot of pressure weekly. I know that Van Ginkel's been more effective getting the stats, but hasn't been putting up nearly the amount of pressures that Grenard has been. So,
yeah, I would probably lean slightly Grenard. He doesn't have the matchup McDonald has, but he has more experience, and I'd probably lean slightly Grenard on this one.
I'm with you there as well.
Game script might determine this one, and I think the Vikings and Lions will have a pretty good shootout. I'm hoping that that's a good game. So after what the Lions did to the Cowboys last week, you always wonder. But the Cowboys are kind of a shell of themselves right now with all their injuries. So I'm thinking this will be a pretty good game.
Yep. With you there. Ben wants to know, if Hicks is healthy, how confident are you guys in his normal role? Is he a top 36 option then? Jordan Hicks, I'm assuming.
That's what I assume.
Yeah. Father Time is undefeated for a reason. Jordan Hicks has been an amazing player for many years, dating way back to, his time in Arizona when he first was drafted there. Even when he was healthy to start the season, and I use the term healthy loosely because I know he had that mysterious injury preseason. He hadn't gone over 90% of snaps even then. I don't think he is a top 36 option this week, even with the bye weeks. I'm looking at some of the other options. Neville Hewitt probably out there on waiver wires. There's probably some other options that are going to start in front of him for me. But Eric,
I'm waiting.
Anything different?
I'm waiting on Hicks. I have him on one of my dynasty teams, and I'm just waiting to see. I want to see a good game, high snap count from him before I put him in. So,
yeah. So Ben, if you're still listening, you got some waiver options to throw at us. We'd be more than happy to kind of help sort through and see if there's a better option for your squad this week than Jordan Hicks. So. Jake Elliott, Jair Brown worth picking up for depth. When you get these questions, Eric, it's always about who you have to drop, who at whose expense. We just saw Talanoa Hufanga leave the game, probably going to miss some time again for the 49ers defense, who's just been decimated by injuries this offseason, or this season actually as well. And so, is he worth picking up? Yes. But at what expense? I hate to lose anything, especially picking up a defensive back at any time, because there's just so many of them, so easy to replace them. Here again, Kelly, if you have who you're going to be dropping or at what expense, we'd be happy to answer that question. But Eric, what do you see Jairus Brown is? I know that he's a former Big Ten player in Penn State, so we've seen a lot of him play, but his role in that defense plays a lot of deeper safety. And so he's not that in the box guy that we're so coveted after. So thoughts?
I'm not in a race to go out and grab him. Like you said, it depends on the league. Some leagues you always have a stable of good defensive backs available that you can stream. I think that's probably most leagues. I wouldn't be running out to get him. I'd see what happens here, and he's a streamer to me, potential streamer.
Okay. Yeah, I'm with you. But Kelly, if you're around, if you have other options available, who you're going to be trying to release to pick him up, we'd be happy to help you out. Z51 starting Wagner, Spillane, Dorian Williams, and Mosley. Worried about Mosley's snaps, as we are as well. Murray Jr., Jordan Hicks, and Hewitt are available on the wire. Would you guys stick with Mosley or pick one of those guys up? If you were here earlier on the show, you know exactly where I'm leaning this week. Eric, thoughts?
I would go to Hewitt for this week.
Yeah, especially with Alshire ruled out, with 202 ruled out with the concussion. I think Hewitt, he got the praise last week from D'Amico Ryans. He's going to get plenty of opportunity this week. So I think he's a great fourth linebacker. That's a fantastic squad to be rolling out here in week 7. You should be happy you have that many healthy options.
For sure. Is Christian Harris back this week too, I think?
I thought I saw him practicing this week. I don't think even if he does play, I don't think there's still two linebackers have been able to be supported in Houston this year with their defense. So
yeah, and he's probably not quite in game shape yet either. So
none of us are in game shape, Eric.
I haven't been for a long time.
Ben's got a question here. Carter Anderson. Oh, he's responding to one of the others. Okay.
Oh, yep.
There we go. Getting some help in the chat. We need all the help we can get.
Mm-hmm.
Clint wants to know, please pick one safety for today. Tyler Nubin versus the Eagles or Trayvon Moehrig versus the Rams. Both guys play a lot in the box. Thanks. Moehrig has had 2 really good games since Marcus Epps has been put on IR for the Raiders. We were kind of talking earlier about Nubin and just kind of being a center fielder, racking up tackles, but maybe against that Eagles team, that's a great option. But like we said, what Eagles team is going to show up?
I think I would actually lean Mooring this week. It's definitely the better matchup against the Rams. I think they're 4th tackles allowed to safeties, and then hopefully he throws in a big play in there of some sort. So I'd go with Trayvon.
Yep, I'm with you, and I was leaning that way. Nubin makes a great play. He's just not doing anything massive right now to put him over the top. And like you said, Eric, that matchup's pretty juicy for Moehrig. What's up, boys? We got Zach Bond versus the Giants or Ernest Jones versus Buffalo. Both are pretty decent matchups this week. I'm assuming that they're both, probably top, easily top 24 options this week. Eric, is there one that's screaming to you?
Gosh, these are close.
Yep.
I think I'm going to lean Bond. That's tough. I'm going to change my mind and go Jones this week over Bond. It's a close one. I think you have 2 great options there.
Yep. I think they're both probably top 15 options this week for you. I don't think you could go wrong with either choice. If it's big play, I might lean Bond just because of the pass rushing prowess that he offers. But Ernest Jones has super high tackle floor. It'll be interesting to see how Amari Cooper helps that offense become a little more consistent, maybe even a little more scary that they're going to stay on the field even longer. So I'm going to lean Ernest Jones in with a high tackle floor this week. Eric, have you heard anything? Is James Cook back this week for Buffalo, or are they?
I have not heard that, but I can figure that out quick.
All right. I didn't know if that I mean, they looked pretty efficient last week running the ball. Ray Davis looked really, really good on his snaps last week. So I don't know if it matters if Cook is in or not, but I think he makes that offense just a little more efficient too. So great options there for you. Fantasy sports, which two safety? Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Eric.
I was just going to say Ray Davis looked great last week, so I'm not.
Yeah.
Yeah, Cook was a full participant in practice. So
okay. All right. So a healthy Buffaloes team with Ernest Jones. Lock it in. Which two safeties to start this week? Hamilton, Lake, Newbin, Bullard, or Curl? Whew. I like
Hamilton,
the bookends on that one.
Yep, Hamilton and Curl is what I was going to say. That's good options, though.
Yes. Yeah, I'm going with Hamilton and Curl as well. I got a very similar roster on mine, so I'm glad that I'm not alone in that. So, James is asking, need to replace EJ and Alshire. 2 points for a solo, 1 per assist, 2 for a sack. Pick 2 between Luvu, Murray, Hewitt, Javon Baker, Britt Diablo, Ventrell Miller, David Long Jr., Kaiser White, Chris Barnes. So Ventrell Miller is off to a fantastic start. Unfortunately, he's already playing. So if he's in your lineup already, you're doing great because he already has 3 tackles and 3 assists and 3 solos. So if he's not in your lineup, Eric, let's assume that he's not. Which 2 of these linebackers are you rolling this week?
Hewitt is one of them for me this week. And
we mentioned the great matchup with Buffalo for Tennessee. Do we roll Murray as well?
I think so. Luvu scares me. Luvu scares me this week because the Carolina Panthers actually have a pretty good offensive line this year. It's one of the maybe the only thing they do well this year. So Luvu with only 2 points per sack and that good offensive line, I think I would stay away from Luvu. So it's Murray and Hewlett. For me, I was also considering Baker, but I think it's Murray and Hewitt.
Yep. They were the 2 that popped for me right away too. And not getting rewarded heavily for a sack kind of negates that Luvu start there just because that's kind of what he does. So Danny, thank you for getting our morning started off right, for joining us. Thank you. Appreciate that. So not an IDP question, so obviously a small league, but 2 flex spots, and everyone has flaws. But Deebo Samuel, Marvin Harrison, James Conner, Wendell Robinson, Josh Jacobs can only play 2. So let's help Darren out here with his 2 flex spot plays. Marvin Harrison did clear.
Yeah, he's healthy.
Harrison did clear concussion protocol, so that's great. I worry about Wendell Robinson with Neighbors back. I know that he was getting peppered with targets the last couple of weeks, so he would probably be on the back end of this list for me just because of that reason. Connor's healthy. Jacobs is healthy. Looks pretty strong on that defense or on that offensive role in Green Bay. I always like to try to start running backs over wide receivers just for the number of touches. But Deebo almost plays in that weird tweener role where he's almost hard to pass up on.
He's been dinged up too.
Yeah.
Deebo. See what his practice looked like Friday. Geez, I wish this was easier to scroll through. He was a full participant. I'm thinking Deebo and Josh Jacobs here. What are you thinking, Jeff?
I am 100% on board. I was trying to narrate that always starting at running back, and I was kind of deciding between, do I want James Conner or do I want Deebo? And having Deebo 100% or full participation, I'm going to go Jacobs and Deebo this week in my flex. So we got there. We got there eventually, Eric.
Sorry.
That's all right. Hey, Sunday morning. We'll get
Yeah,
there.
it is.
I have Buda Baker. Yeah. I have Buda Baker, but I'm not sure about the matchup against the Chargers. Should I play Lake or Xavier Woods instead of him with a better matchup? Looking for a high floor. Great question. Is Buda Baker matchup proof, Eric, or is there no such thing in IDP?
I mean, I would be less worried about him than Jalen Thompson on that team. I think he is mostly matchup proof. Chargers only allow 11 tackles to safeties on average this year. It's not a lot, but if he's looking for high floor, that might be kind of a risk there.
Do we? And I know you've already mentioned being worried about Lake and his recent alignment, so maybe that's a question. Maybe we kind of temper our expectations with Lake a little bit this week. Xavier Woods, thoughts on him this week?
He's been playing more up in the box this year than he had last year. So he's an interesting player.
And that might be because they're so decimated at linebacker, losing Shaq Thompson. Josie Jewell's been out. Trevin Wallace has been kind of the only staple at linebacker there for him. So that might explain that. And they get, a great matchup this week with Washington. I mean, that offense has really been clicking. Do we roll the dice with Xavier Woods over Buda Baker this week?
I think I would do it. I think I would go with Xavier over Buda. It's hard to do, isn't it?
It is. Yeah, because Buda Baker is almost like a set it and forget it type player. And like I kind of mentioned, that whole idea about being matchup proof. So I don't think there's a wrong answer, but we're thinking Xavier Woods is a 1A to a Buda Baker 1B at this point.
Yeah, it's close.
So, yeah. We'll be watching because I got Buda Baker in a couple spots here this week as well. All right. Hey, boys, I think we answered this question already. Did we go Ernest Jones high floor over?
That's what I went. If you need the points to a boom week out of somebody, then maybe start Bond, but I'd go with Jones to floor.
Yep. Love the emojis here. We got Fantasy Breakout regarding linebacker. Need to replace EJ Speed or his brother EH Speed. So I need to pick one. Levante David, Quay Walker, Tyrell Dodson this week. David's kind of had a resurgence the last couple of weeks. Been playing really, really well. Quay Walker's been a 100% snap guy in Green Bay. And Tyrell Dodson's been the green dot wearer in Seattle. Been doing amazing this season, as has Speed. I'm almost leaning David here.
Yep, that's the one that jumped out to me.
Quay Walker would be a close second for me.
Yeah, Dodson's matchup isn't great this week.
Yep. Levante David, best of luck to you, Fantasy Breakout. Fantasy Sports, which one to add off of waivers rest of season? Singletary, Pacheco, Brooks, White, or Mostert? It's got to be Jordan Brooks, right?
Yeah.
Jonathan Brooks, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I would say definite no to White. He's got some competition there. Obviously, Mostert does too. Singletary has competition also. Pacheco, when's Pacheco coming back?
I think he's got 2 weeks and he'll be able to be activated.
It'd be Pacheco or Brooks for me. I mean, Brooks, they can. Didn't they start his 3 weeks, I believe, on Brooks to return from IR? Does he come back before the end of that 3 weeks? I don't know. So Pacheco may be coming back around the same time. They got Kareem Hunt there now. God, all of them have competition. It'd be Pacheco or Brooks for me. And
I'm going to lean Brooks. Yeah. Just because they moved up in the draft to get him. And that offense is, as sad as it sounds, has been better with Andy Dalton in it. And if he gets the nod, that could be, Chuba Hubbard's been fantastic the last few weeks with Dalton there. So if we can get 90% of that with Brooks, I think we're going to be really happy with the results.
Yeah, I would lean Brooks too. Go for the high upside.
Perfect. Good luck to you on that one. I appreciate that, BK. Yep. If you are around, hit that like button. Tell your friends. Let's get let's get some wins for everyone.
I'm suddenly hungry.
Yeah, I know.
For a flame broiled burger.
There you go. Now we're getting spot advertisements too. Nice job, Eric. Appreciate it. So Ben kind of followed back up here. He had, instead of Hicks, I can play Diablo.
Derek Hall, maybe.
Or Josh Sweat. Yeah, maybe Derek Hall and Derek Hall, he hit the end button versus Atlanta, or Josh Sweat, maybe. That's what he was.
Oh, I gotcha.
Yeah.
I like Josh Sweat actually this week. He's got a really juicy matchup. I'd probably throw
juicy
him
flame broiled matchup.
Yes. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, let's go with that. All right. Yeah, I was leaning Josh Sweat. He's been playing really well, and he does have a really great matchup this week. So almost a for sure sack coming in. Also, who's better long-term linebacker between Dean and Bond? Seems like Dean has been more consistent point-wise.
Long-term linebacker, I would go with Dean. He's younger. He's been coming around, as Dolo says. Yeah, I would lean Dean.
I think so too. Just and we've seen linebackers like this before, like with Bond. Like all of a sudden, like they get on a team, they have one good flash year, and nothing before that to even suggest that they would be anything relevant. And then also we have this one big year. So yeah, yep. I'm gonna lean Dean as well. No worries. No, yeah, that's all right.
It's okay. Jeff's a teacher. He'll help you out.
Yeah, that's right. I do a lot of decoding when I read, so we'll get there. So no worries. Hey, our Ecto Cooler is back, Mr. Jason. So love the show. Tempted to replace Keyshawn Nixon with Cooper DeJean. Scoring rewards tackles, big plays, and 2.5 points per 25-yard kick return. So I'm going to kick this over to you, Mr. Harms, because you are a resident Cooper DeJean fan. So what do you got?
I assume punt return and kick return yards are the same. Punt returns a lot of times are fair caught, although DeJean had 4 of them last week, 4 returns.
I think the big thing here with Jair Alexander getting healthy kind of changes Keyshawn Nixon's role. I know he's played 100% of snaps the last couple of weeks, but his role on the defense is different, so I don't think he's getting that tackle floor before. But DeJean's also going to have some competition now because we got Sidney Brown coming back, and so we've got his role on the defense. Where is he going to align? How is that going to shake things out in the secondary in Philadelphia? So
I think what it boils down to me is I think the Texans will be in 11 personnel more than the Giants. So I think I would lean Nixon. I'd keep Nixon in.
I think so too. Eric, for those of us that are number illiterate, what does that mean when you say like 11 or 12 personnel?
11 personnel is 1 tight end, 1 running back. So that means you have 3 receivers out there. 12 is 2 tight ends and 1 running back. So teams that play, when players play slot, like Cooper DeJean, and I think Keyshawn Nixon will be back in the slot, as you said, with Alexander being back, their time on the field is determined by how much the other team is playing 11 personnel or 3 receivers to a large extent. Not 100% true, but largely that's what it is. So if you're playing a team that plays more 3 receiver sets, it's better for those slot receivers or slot cornerbacks. Yep. And
so like a Cooper DeJean or a Keyshawn Nixon are better when we have more 11 personnel because they're going to see the field more. They're probably not going to be lined up on that team that has 2 tight ends rolling out.
Right. One thing that, pardon me here, one thing that is also something to look at.
Texting you again?
He is.
Yeah, he's so annoying.
This is from, it's not this week's updated, but Fairbairn for Houston was about 50% of his kicks were getting returned. So you figure Keyshawn Nixon's going to have some opportunities too for the kick returns.
Love it. Good stuff, Eric. Cook is healthy. Thanks, Darren, for helping us out once again. It's all about people helping people.
Exactly.
Lake has outperformed Curl so far until this last week when Curl played more near the line of scrimmage. Yes, we've chatted about that a little bit. Do you think that Curl takes over more of the line of scrimmage role, or Lake continues to be more involved? I need to see one more week. I don't know if it was a weird week. The linebackers played a different role last week for the Rams, or before the bye for the Rams. I need to see one more week before I'm willing to move Lake down and Curl up. Lake has been a fantastic waiver wire add this season, so I'm still going to give him the benefit of the doubt. So, Eric, thoughts?
If I have better options, I'm playing them until I know more. It worries me a little bit that it occurred with somebody else coming back into the lineup, even though that was a corner. It's just kind of strange that that's the same week that it occurred to me. So I don't know if that's related or not. So I want to kind of wait another week to see where, like you said, where it all shakes out. Was it just matchup dependent, or was it a new alignment they're going to go with going forward?
And it was really interesting too how a cornerback coming in Williams shifted both safeties, the slot corner and two linebacker alignments in a week. So
yeah, I'm not sure how that would happen.
Just be coincidence, yeah.
Other than lack of trust in the corner and wanting somebody else at safety just to, for that help. I'm not sure why it would change it, but I kind of want to see one more week of that.
Yeah. It's interesting. Like the first few weeks of the season, we're all, like looking at data, looking at snap alignment to get like some trends and stuff like that. Now here we are in week 7. We're still like, okay, let's see one more week of it before we make a decision here. So
when it changes like
that,
it
breakout. Yeah. With injuries and everything like that, it definitely changes things up. Pick up one of these wide receivers in a half-point PPR. Amari Cooper, who is now on the Buffalo Bills, Christian Watson, Juju Smith-Schuster, Xavier Legette, DeAndre Hopkins. Pick one flex, and for the rest of these wide receivers, or Jordan Mason. All right, so looks like we either are going 2 of these wide receivers or one of these wide receivers or Jordan Mason. Jordan Mason was cleared, no injury designation, and so you got to think that he's going to get quite a bit of run for San Francisco this week at the running back spot.
He's my flex for sure.
Yep.
The receivers are interesting. I'm a little worried about Cooper this week. Does he get the full complement of plays, or is he limited to certain plays and routes that he's picked up during the week? Watson, I'm just staying away from for now.
Hopkins is going to have a new quarterback this week with Mason Rudolph.
And I think that could be good for him. It's Hopkins or Juju for me, because Juju is almost the last man standing in Kansas City. I mean, they're going to feed Kelsey, and they still have why am I drawing a blank on this fast rookie?
Oh, in Kansas City, Xavier Worthy?
Yeah. Gosh, that was horrible. I'm getting
old. It's an IDP show. It's an IDP show for a reason.
I'd go I think I'd go Hopkins.
I think so too. Yep. I think Rudolph is going to try to force the ball, just because he's going to try to make some plays to keep himself on the field and keep Levis off. So unfortunately, we won't get any Levis memes this week, though. So that's the only downfall. Although Levis he probably could still do some stuff on the sideline. So.
I think Levis's play should keep him off. Maybe he'll throw some mayonnaise and some coffee, and we'll get it on TV.
He took out that poor ball boy last week, and Spartacus wants to know, wanting to start Morig versus LA or Lake on the other side of that IDP game. So
it's boring.
Yeah. That was pretty confident, Eric. Quick and confident. We like that. Yes, let's go Morig. Jason wants to know, replace any of Spillane, Trevin Wallace, or Terrell Dodson with JOK, Dorian Williams, or Ivan Pace.
That's an embarrassment of riches this week.
Yeah. I'm almost leaning Pace over Terrell Dodson with no Cashman,
Yeah.
with no Blake Cashman for Minnesota this week.
That's a
Gonna
bad
soak up a
matchup
ton
for
of
the
tackles.
Seahawks. They don't give up a lot of linebacker tackles. The Falcons don't. Yeah.
Ivan Pace has been pretty efficient even without playing a full complement of snaps. I can only imagine what he's going to be able to do if he has a full complement of snaps. So,
is it going to be him or is it going to be Grugier?
How can it not be Pace?
It should be. It should be Pace. I don't know that I trust.
Well, then do we
it.
go JOK with an amazing matchup versus Baltimore then?
That's who I would go with is JOK.
Okay. Fine.
Over Dodson. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yes, Dodson for sure. We can replace in JOK or Ivan Pace. So we're leaning JOK just because Eric said so.
Jewel's out, so I'd keep Wallace in again another week for sure.
Oh yeah, yeah. Trevor Wallace has been fantastic for Carolina the last 3 weeks. Yep. Good luck to you as well, sir. We appreciate you coming on, joining us this morning. Sorry, Darren, for your loss. I don't know if there's probably a bigger blow to IDP this season, or with the loss of Aiden Hutchinson, that really puts a damper, and kind of interesting to see what the Lions do going forward. Are they going to, with Super Bowl window definitely in play, and I know they talked about Hutchinson being able to play in the Super Bowl if they get that far, which seems crazy to me considering the nature of that injury. But anyway, we digress. So lost Hutchinson. So David Onyemata or Luke Van Ness also at a defensive spot. Oh, okay. So let's answer the first question here first, Eric, for him. He's got David Onyemata or Luke Van Ness.
I'm leaning Onyemata. Got a good matchup this week. And Stroud can be difficult to get to. He seems to be pretty pocket aware going against the Packers. So I'm going to go Onyemata. That's a big drop off. Holy moly.
Yes.
From Hutchinson to either one of those guys.
And it's probably going to be that for any team that had Hutchinson, because Hutchinson was like a very highly invested player. You probably had a set it and forget it type play. So you kind of ignored the position, so you're kind of looking at other spots on your team, especially if you invested in Hutchinson. So we're probably going to see a lot of that going from like the number one to a big cliff.
I say that, but Seahawks are hard to get sacks on too, also because of pocket presence from Geno. Man, that's a tough one. I think I'd still lean on Yamada. What do you think, Jeff?
I'm with you on that one. Van Ness has been just kind of a plugging up the middle, kind of like tripping into tackles. Kind of, he hasn't done anything like flashy yet. Probably more flashy than Rashawn Gary, but that's not saying a lot right now for the Packers defensive line. But no, I'm with you on Yamada for that one.
What was the second question?
Oh yeah, defensive back there. Sorry. Defensive back spot, Trevarius Ward, Justin Reed, or DeMar Hamlin. I see them as equal.
I kind of like Justin Reed this week against San Francisco.
I do too. Yep. Yeah, they're kind of getting healthier-ish. I see that Pearsall is going to play for them. So they got a little more option on the wide receiver room between Ayuk, Samuel, and now Pearsall. Jordan Mason's healthy. So...
yeah, and you got the 49ers give up the second most tackles in the league to safeties, so it's a pretty good matchup.
All right. Thanks, Darren. Best of luck to you this week 7. Mike has some linebacker questions here. He's got to pick one of these, and he's got some very good options. Levante David, Kenneth Murray, Jermaine Pratt, or Jerome Baker.
Pratt or David, just
yep. Pratt has the Browns, which worries me a little bit. I know that Nick Chubb is coming back this week, so do they force Chubb the ball and give him as much as he can handle coming back after his injury? I don't know. David just seems too easy right here.
Yeah, I'd go David because of the matchup.
Yeah, that Baltimore gonna have a ton of tackles, and that's why I kind of like Britt to have a bounce back week this week as well. So Tyler Newbin, the flavor of the week, or Lake, the other flavor of the week, or Curl. Considering the recent alignment for the Rams, play Newbin over Lake or Curl. It's really tough for me to start two players from the same team on the same position, so I'd like to diversify that a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go Curl and Newbin here just to break that up.
Yep, agreed.
Nice.
Make it easy.
Nice. There we go. Our good friend Rob is back with a couple questions here this week. Starting 3, Trevin Wallace, TJ Watt, Pratt Spillane, or Alex Van Ginkel.
He's definitely not average. Not this year. Alex Van Ginkel. Sorry, that's a bad dad
average,
joke.
Average Van Ginkel.
Yeah, he's definitely not average. I think the two easy ones right off the top are Watt and Spillane.
Yep. And then I kind of got to go Wallace.
Yeah, I could go with that. It's tough.
I think that the thing that worries me about Van Ginkel is he's been so big play dependent. He hasn't had the high tackle floor. I know a couple weeks ago he had the big pick 6 against Rodgers, and outside of that one play, he didn't do any stat. I mean, it was pretty that one play dependent. So I'm gonna go with Watts, Blaine, and Wallace, and it sounds like Eric's on board there too.
Yep.
Okay. He lost to Dabo. Yeah, that was a tough game for the Saints. They lost both corners. Their offensive line just looked horrendous. They had nothing at wide receivers. It was a tough game. Woods is a sweet replacement there, and we kind of talked about Woods earlier as having a great matchup, playing a lot of in the box with the linebacker woes for Carolina. So great consolation price.
Yep, agreed. Good replacement.
Yeah. Yep. We're on the Wallace train, full board ahead. Thoughts about him with 100% snaps once Jewel returns?
I don't think so. I think he'll drop down at 70% range, probably 60, 70%. I think that's about what their second linebacker typically plays.
Is Wallace efficient enough at 70% to make him a LB2, LB3? Or do you worry that he kind of...
I think he's LB3, 4, somewhere in there. Okay. If he drops down that far, I guess we'll have to see when Jewel returns, if that's the way they line up. I assume Jewel will get the green dot back and be 100%.
Yeah, I like Jewel in Carolina, especially with the defensive coordinator being a former head coach of his, brought him over. So, yeah, I'm with you. If you're in a redraft IDP league, Eric, is Trevin Wallace a sell high candidate right now for you?
In a redraft, yes.
Yep.
Absolutely. Yep.
Oh, fantastic. Thanks for that shout out. That's fantastic to hear.
Thank you.
We appreciate it. T-Mac, would you trust Trevin Wallace, Edgerrin Cooper, Jermaine Sherwood, Tyrion Johnson, Marlon Humphrey, or Kenneth Murray? Woo! Or should I pick Kaiser White? I'm assuming Kaiser White is out this week. I need to start two of those. White? Oh, Keon White.
I don't know, Kaiser or Keon. Well, Keon, it's too late. So
Keon's already playing, so he's kind of SOL on that one. So we got to start 4, 2 linebackers and 2 flex. So let's go through and pick out 2 linebackers first from this group.
Murray and Wallace.
You were already kind of mentioning a little fear of Mosley eating into Sherwood here a little bit.
Yeah, it scares me as much as I'd like to see him stay on the field. Like I said, the only thing I could see is maybe Chuck Clark being on IR gives Sherwood a chance to play some box snaps as safety. But I kind of want to see what happens there.
Is it easy then? We go Trevin Wallace and Kenneth Murray at linebacker, and one of our flexes is Jermaine Sherwood.
Sherwood or Cooper. Yeah.
Well, we get to pick 2 flexes. So
yeah.
Do we like Wallace and Kenneth Murray as our linebackers?
Yes, Wallace and Murray as the linebackers.
Okay, now we need to pick 2 of the remaining 4 players for the 2 flex. So Sherwood, Cooper, Terrion Johnson, or Marlon Murphy. I think Sherwood is just plays going to keep him on the field. He's been playing fantastic for the Jets. I think he's an easy flex this week. So then one of Cooper, Terrion Johnson, or Murphy. The Bills get Tennessee, which is kind of worrisome as far as offensive efficiency, keeping that defense on the field. But we've seen Terrion Johnson be a fantastic role play. I don't think Cooper is getting enough snaps yet to warrant. Him and McDuffie are still kind of splitting.
The Ravens have the Buccaneers, who play some 11 personnel and often have Godwin in the slot. So I think Humphrey's been going back and forth, slot and outside, and kind of getting moved around. But I think I'd lean Humphrey for the flex.
I can get behind that, and let's just see what he's been.
He's been having a good year so far.
Yeah, very consistent scoring. Yeah, I'm with you there. Let's go Trevin Wallace and Kenneth Murray in our linebacker spots, and then we'll throw Sherwood and Humphrey into our flex spots. So, Good question, T-Mac. Good lineup there. Z51. I have Winfield, Cross, Petrie, and big play scoring. Woods and Newbin are available on the waiver. Would you stay put or pick up one of these guys? Thanks for the insight. Love the show.
I would drop Petrie for one of them.
I'm going to drop Petrie for Woods, especially in big play.
Yeah. If it's Dynasty, I might go Newbin. If it's redraft, I'd go Woods.
Yep. I get that 100%. Are you less worried about Dynasty defensive backs than you are at other positions, Eric?
Yeah. I mean, defensive backs, they change every year on who's playing well. So I typically don't have, like in a contract league, like a 12-team contract. I don't like to have long contracts on defensive backs most of the time, unless the name is Cooper DeJean. But
there's no bias. No biases.
Yeah, none at all. This one.
Yeah. Right.
So yeah, that's what I would go Woods if it's redraft. It may be even both, but Newman's been playing really well and playing 100% of snaps, so that's why I say Newman for Dynasty.
I just worry a little bit with Newman's role right now. I haven't seen any of the big plays from him. Pinnock's been getting that pass rushing stuff. So
yeah,
I definitely thinking Petrie out, but redraft 1-year deal. Let's go Woods long term. Let's go Newman.
Get you Newman.
You are most welcome, T-Mac. Mike's goes, my defensive backs are currently Jordan Whitehead, Julian Blackman, Josh Metellus, and Cam Curl. Would you drop any of those guys for Woods or Morig?
Blackman. I would drop Blackman. So disappointing. Last year he was playing a lot of box snaps, and this year he's been dropped back deep a lot more. And that I was not expecting that. So Cross has been getting the box snaps. So I dropped Blackman, and yeah, they're both good options there. What do you have a preference over Woods or Murray? What's that?
Blackman hasn't been scoring terrible, but we just had high expectations for Blackman coming into the season just because of that last year's role on the defense and where he was at. And we just haven't seen that this year. We've been seeing more 50-50 split. And even in training camp, we saw some of that happening where defensive coordinator really wasn't happy with the play. So he was kind of dropping Blackman back a little bit more. So I could get behind dropping Blackman to pick up Woods, I think, especially for the next couple weeks.
Maybe Whitehead for Morig too.
Ooh.
That's a close one.
Just with Winfield coming back, do you think he takes a big piece of Whitehead's role?
Mm-hmm. Maybe. It'd be one I'd consider. I think Metellus hasn't been scoring great so far, but I think he'll get there. Because the alignment's
I think
too
he's got a
good.
great matchup this week versus Detroit. So I think I got him going in a couple of leagues just because of injuries and bye week things. So I think Metellus might be an option this week for some teams. So Alex Highsmith is coming back off of his injury. Does he go back in your lineups week 1? And how is his health? So I'm kind of leaning if he's going to play, he's healthy enough to play. I don't think they're going to roll him out there anything less than 50%. Pittsburgh doesn't have any reason to do that. Unless you've heard anything different, Eric, I think he's probably good to go 100% right back in opposite TJ Watt.
Let's see. He was
full participant Friday.
Yep, full participant on Friday. So I would put him back in the lineup.
Yeah. Yep. Wheels up on Highsmith.
Yep.
Ben has a question. Mosley, Kenneth Murray, or Bond this week? Mosley definitely not an option this week for me.
Probably Murray. Murray or Bond. They're both.
Murray?
It's a tough one. I like Murray's matchup.
I'm gonna go Bond here this week, just playing against division rival. I think that he's going to be needed for the Eagles to play.
Also,
Murray's kind of the second fiddle at linebacker with
Ernest Jones.
Ernest Jones, thank you.
Yeah, and the Giants lost their left tackle too. So yeah, I can get on board with that. I'd go Bond.
Yeah, especially big play. Bond definitely going to be the guy there. So CPAS, we are definitely on the Hewitt train this morning. Yep. Pick up Hewitt wherever you got him. Brian Robinson Jr., I thought he was trending towards playing.
That's what I understand too.
Yep.
Let's see.
Probably a solid RB2 flex option for sure in most leagues this week. Eric's looking that up. We'll get on to Mr. Rogaru's question. Good morning, gents. Is Kendricks on track to return next week? Should I drop Overshown? I think Overshown has been playing fantastic this year, and I don't know that there's a big drop-off from a Kendricks to an Overshown. And with Overshown, he's healthy. He's been playing fantastic. He's been playing a full complement of snaps. So I'm going to keep Overshown here just because of health. I don't have to worry about the question mark of, is he healthy? Is he going to play? Is he going to get re-injured? I'm just going to keep Overshown in my lineups.
Robinson was limited in practice, so he's still questionable. So I guess I'd check.
Do they have what time do they play, Eric? Do they have an early kickoff today, or?
I think they're the 3. Let me look quick.
Yes, they are a 3:00 game. So, Adam, if you have other options, let us know, and we're happy to help you out. Definitely get them in your flex spot, and then I will give you some flexibility as to where we're at with that. But I thought I saw he was trending towards playing, but get him in your flex spot for sure, and then let's see what other options we have available there. So, Eric, before we move on to Rogaru's next question here, do you have any thoughts on Kendricks over Overshown, or?
I wouldn't drop Overshown. And I assume you don't have Kendricks on your team, you've got Overshown. Dallas plays a lot of 2 linebacker plus, so I would keep Overshown.
And like I said, just the healthy player over the injured returning player. So a lot of will questions here. Need to pick 2. Will A, will B, will C, will M, or Brian Burns. So Will Anderson for sure. And then it comes down to Will McDonald, who playing well, but then Brian Burns, Eric, you had mentioned earlier that he has a injury designation coming into the week.
Yeah, he's questionable. So I guess wait and see if Burns plays at noon. If he does, I'd put him in. If not, then you got McDonald as backup who plays Sunday night. So,
are you worried about possibility of a re-injury? And would you just start Will McDonald just so you don't have to worry about Burns playing 3 snaps and then being out for the rest of the game?
what was the injury? Was it a hamstring?
Yeah, I think him and Dexter Lawrence both were missing time this week in practice with some injuries.
And for some reason, I want to say it was a hamstring, which is a little bit more worrisome for re-injury. Yep. I'm gonna double check that quick.
Yeah, I'm gonna.
And they're playing the Eagles, and they're playing the Eagles' offensive line. Yeah, I guess I'd go McDonald.
I'm just gonna play it safe there and not take a chance on a 0.
Groin. It was a groin, not a hamstring, but
it's all connected.
It's all connected.
Good luck, Rogu. Thanks for the questions. Appreciate you being a consistent questioner every week. So picking 2 of these linebackers, Pace, Bond, or Bernard. I think we got to go with the 2 Bs this week, huh?
Yep.
As much as we love Pace, I just think the other 2 have significantly higher floors and safer plays. Eric seems to doubt Ivan Pace, so he just doesn't like short people. So,
hey, my wife's a short person, so
yeah, same.
It's not true.
No. Terrell Bernard or Ernest Jones this week. So we got Terrell Bernard with a great matchup versus Tennessee. We have Ernest Jones with a great matchup as well this week versus the
playing each other.
Tennessee Titans.
Buffalo and Tennessee.
I'm gonna go Bernard just because I think that. Oh, actually, no. Wait, I'm gonna take that back. I'm gonna go Ernest Jones this week.
Buffalo's a better matchup.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a tough one.
Can't lose. Top 12 options. Can't lose. Yeah. Both top 12 options. I'm gonna go Ernest Jones just with the efficiency of the Buffalo Bills offense.
I'm gonna go Bernard. Titans give up a lot of tackles to linebackers, so I'll go that way. Be my tiebreaker.
Sorry, JK. Can't go wrong with either option. I think they're both fantastic. Easy LB1s this week, both of them. So great job. Tough call when you have those. I got a question here from Dejir Jote. Question on linebackers: Trevin Wallace or Ivan Pace? Thanks. I think this is Trevin Wallace.
Yeah.
8 days a week, twice on Sunday. Commander's offense is just clicking right now, super efficient. Trevin Wallace is like literally the last guy standing in Carolina for those linebackers right now. So I think he's easy call. Darren, elevated from my taxi squad. Ooh, we got to take one. Tyrone Tracy or Bucky Irvin? I know I know where I'm going. So Eric, what do you got?
I would go Bucky Irving. Only because I think Rashad White is doubtful. Is that right? And Singletary should be back. So I'd go Bucky Irving on this. Just, I know they had a big week last week from Tucker.
Sean Tucker?
Yeah. Yep. Who I have had on my bench in a 32-team league for a few years now. So I was happy to actually be able to plug him in once. So I had in a 32-team league, you don't have a lot of options. So I had him in last week for that big week, and it won the week for me. So, hey, it's been worth it.
Yeah, I went up against him last week on a team that had no chance. No chance. It should never even have been a competition, but he had no other options, and he plugged him in. I'm definitely going Bucky Irving here. He played almost 70% of snaps last week. Sean Tucker's fluky 2 plays that led to touchdowns. He only played like 30% of snaps. So clearly Tampa Bay trusts Bucky Irvin much more. Yeah. And I'm Bucky Irvin, and this week he's going to have I think he's going to have a great game. If you have Sean Tucker, you should have sold him. So
yeah, Sean Tucker,
unless you're in a 32-man league.
Yeah, Sean Tucker's been on that team. This is his third year, and he hasn't been able to beat out Rashad White, who hasn't been stellar, especially running the ball. Catching the ball, he's been really good. But yeah, and he didn't. It was more the mop-up duty that he got after they got the big lead, or started to get a lead. Tucker came in more towards the end of the game. So yeah, it's Bucky Irving here.
Perfect. Well, we have a first, Eric. We have a quarterback question on our IDP show. So would you go a Kyler Murray in Arizona, or would you go Geno Smith in Seattle?
I would lean Murray. It always depends on what your scoring is, but I think I would lean Murray in this one. What do you think, Jeff?
I'm actually going to go Geno Smith. I think the shootout potential with Atlanta is going to be, I think that it's going to kind of be a track meet. Both have a full complement of weapons. I would lean Murray. I was hesitant on Murray, especially without Marvin Harrison, but he's been cleared to play. So I think that he's going to have a full complement, but I just think Geno's got way more options with, Lockett, Metcalf, and Jackson Smith and Najigba there. I thought I saw somewhere that Kenneth Walker was a little dinged up, so maybe there's a little bit more passing that's going to happen. So maybe we'll see Charbonnet out of the backfield a little bit more. So I think Geno Smith is the play this week for me.
Yeah, the pace of play in that game. Both teams are top 5 in pace of play, so there should be lots of offensive possessions too. I think you convinced me to go Geno Smith on this one.
And that means lots of defensive opportunities as well. So, it could be a possible great game for some linebackers there. Ryan asks, Neville Hewitt, Pace or Sherwood this week? So I think Pace clearly has been our third option in questions like this week, just because Eric some cold water on me about Pace's possibility.
Well, Sherwood I have concerns about too. So I would go Hewitt here.
Yep. Hewitt's the guy. We've already seen that Hewitt's been the guy. We've got confirmation that CPH is saying 8+ tackles incoming this week. So who are we to argue with that? So yeah, it's Hewitt. I think he just has a great week. I think he'll play 100% of snaps. He'll probably be, I can't see him not wearing the green dot. Maybe Will Anderson or Daniil Hunter, but usually they like to have linebackers or somebody in the safety role play that. So I can't see him coming off the field at all this week. So
CH has me wondering if DraftKings has a line on Hewitt or not today. Bet responsibly.
Well, that's another show that we in the family here, Eric. I don't know. Yeah. Have you been on? Have you been asked to go on?
No. IDP bets on Friday nights, everybody. Good show. Yep.
So let's just see if Hewitt has any. Oh, so here it is. So 5.5 solos, 8.5 tackles or assists is the line right now. So
CH and DK are right on with each other.
I've never seen DraftKings or CPH in the same room at the same time, so maybe they're the same. Maybe. So Eric, if you got some money to throw down, Neville Hewitt 8.5 over under.
I'm going over.
Over against Green Bay.
Under's no fun to bet.
Yeah, you don't want to be glass half empty kind of guy.
Yeah.
So, well, Eric, we are all caught up on questions. We got third quarter play happening right now in London. We've got Jacksonville all of a sudden coming to life. Tank Bigsby has 54 yards and a touchdown. Brian Thomas has 2 catches for 64 and a touchdown. Evan Ingram is 4 catches for 34 yards. On the New England side, we got Drake May with 109 yards and a touchdown thrown to, of all people, JaMychal Hasty, because that's exactly who we thought was going to happen. Hunter Henry's having a pretty decent game there for 6 for 55. On the defensive side, Kyler Duggar is 6 tackles and an assist Anthony Jennings has 4 tackles. On the defensive side for Jacksonville, Ventrell Miller, 4 tackles, 3 assists. Devin Lloyd, 3 tackles, 4 assists, and a sack. And
Nice.
that's kind of it. Jacksonville's driving right now. They're 3rd and goal from the 3. And Trevor Lawrence just threw an incomplete pass. They're probably going to kick the field goal to go up 25-10 with about 10 minutes to go in the 3rd quarter. So a couple questions just straggled in here. Ben's got one more. Mosley, Edgerrin Cooper, or Jared Verse? 2 points for a solo, 6 for a sack. I don't think Mosley is an option this week for us.
The Rams are playing the Raiders.
And Verse has been playing a really healthy amount of snaps.
He hasn't been getting home, but he's been getting close. I think I'd go Verse here, not knowing what Mosley's snap count's going to look like.
Yeah, it's been pretty awesome that a rookie has been able to step in and play nearly 70% of snaps every single week, especially on the defensive line. So I think we get spoiled with players like Max Crosby who are at 95, 100% every week, and like 70, 80% is fantastic for normal, mortal defensive linemen. So I think that's pretty fantastic. So Nick wants to know 2 points for a tackle. He got Bullard in the slot in the box for Green Bay. He plays for Green Bay, right? Bullard? Javon Bullard plays for Green Bay.
I get those two mixed up, Bullard and Bullock.
Oh, Bullock. Okay, yes, you're right. I read that wrong because they're playing Houston. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep. Thompson versus the Chargers, which is kind of a gross matchup. We've already mentioned. Metellus for defensive back for Detroit. Pick one. Great work.
I would go on Metellus.
I am 100% on board with this one. Yeah, I like Metellus this week. He's got that weird rangy role, and I think maybe without Blake Cashman in this week, he maybe plays a little bit more of that linebacker-ish role. And Detroit's been a great matchup for opposing defensive players, especially the linebacker role. I think they're top 5 right now, so I'm definitely going to go Metellus in this one.
Yep.
I need to start 3 Adams, Godwin, Gibbons or London. So Adams on a new team. We just talked about that, but it's not like Adams hasn't played with this guy at quarterback in the Jets before. So they probably have some instant chemistry.
And he knows the offense. I mean, it's Aaron's offense. Back shoulder throws,
Godwin,
here they come.
Yeah, Godwin cannot be benched at this point. He is just, I think he's probably, if not the number 1 wide receiver in many leagues right now, weekly scoring. He's got to be top 3 conversation, especially in PPR. And Gibbs or London. Whew.
That's tough.
That is tough.
London's been playing good too, and that game's that game that's going to be a shootout likely. I think the over/under is
Gibbs
like
has been kind of like, Has Gibbs been kind of like underperforming in this season for you, in your opinion?
I mean, Montgomery is a hindrance to him. He's vulturing touchdowns and playing well himself. So it's a 2-headed monster there. I think because of that, I'm going Adams, Godwin, and London. It's tough to bench Gibbs. Holy cow!
It is tough. Yeah, Gibbs only has 3 receptions in the last 3 games, which is pretty shocking.
And Godwin's got the Ravens, which is a little bit worrisome to me. Humphrey's a good corner in the slot. But, man, he's been playing well.
That's tough. Playing so well, yeah. I'm going to go with the 3 wide receivers as well. I just think that Adams is almost guaranteed a touchdown this week just because it's his first week back and he's got that chemistry with Rodgers. Godwin has been unbelievable this season, and then it becomes Gibbs or London. And I think we mentioned like the track meet that's going to be the game between Atlanta this week and the Seahawks. I think London gets it done. So, we were right. It was Bullard versus Houston. Yep. So I don't think that changes our answer at all. I'm still going to go Metellus there for you, Nick. Yeah.
Agreed.
Yep. Darren wants to throw another question at you. Ooh, our second ever quarterback question on the same show. Jaden Daniels or Jalen Hurts? Oof. And he even knows that you're an Eagles fan here, Eric. So this even.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts here? What do you got between a very efficient offense right now that's humming in Washington for the Commanders, or are you going to lean the Eagles this week versus the Giants?
Don't like this question, Darren.
I don't think you like the question because you don't like the answer.
That's exactly what I was going to say, because I think I'm going to go Jaden Daniels. Especially after
I was going
week.
I was going to say, if you were going to go with your heart and not your head on this one, this might be your last time on the show, Eric. So.
Yeah.
I only kid. I kid.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jaden Daniels, that offense is a clicking, and the rushing upside with him. I know Hurts has the rushing upside as well, but it's not nearly what it has been in the past. And obviously Kelsey's loss on that offensive line has been felt because of that. So I think that Jaden Daniels is the answer here. War Clouds, Quay Walker, JOK, or Bolton need one. Do we go JOK with a great matchup versus Baltimore this week?
Yeah. Yep.
Good luck to you, War Cloud. See you in week 8. Mojo wants to know Jordan Addison or Connor for a PPR flex. Hashtag or at the IDP show.
I think I lean Connor on this one.
I always try to lean running back in this situation. Detroit's got pretty good pieces in the secondary. What's that?
I said Connor was he just did not play well last week, but you can't look at last week's stats to know what's going to happen this week.
Right. And I think that whole Arizona team kind of laid a dud last week. So I think that they have bounced back. Chargers defense, are you worried about them?
No, not more than most others, I guess.
Okay,
it's a slow pace of
Connor.
Yeah, slow pace of play. That's the only thing is Chargers are going to run the ball and slow things down. So maybe there's.
I'm gonna go Connor here. It's pretty easy for me. I think the running back, not only getting the running back in there, but just a role in the offense. Connor's going to be guaranteed to touch the ball probably 3 or 4 times more than Addison. We know that offense in Minnesota runs through Justin Jefferson. I know that Aaron Jones is a little dinged up this week, and so they might throw a little bit more to kind of keep pace with Detroit. But I don't know if that necessarily means that Addison is going to be the recipient of all of that. Jalen Naylor's been pretty solid option for him this season as well. So
it's a tough one. I like them both.
It is. Well, Eric, once again, we did a fantastic job. I appreciate your knowledge, efforts, and quick wit as we go through the offenses and the defenses in our lineup decisions here. So before we leave, one last question. Matthew wants to know Highsmith or Verse, Mosley or Sherwood. Thanks, guys.
I think I still go Highsmith now that he's back and healthy. Mosley or Sherwood is, geez. Maybe
I got this one wrong last week because I said Mosley because I thought if he was going to come back, I thought he would be back.
Yeah.
But I didn't think he was going to be 10 snaps back. But
yeah, I think I'd lean Sherwood still just because of that, not knowing, and the possibility of Sherwood maybe going back to safety. Hard to say. I think I'd lean Sherwood. Yep. I'd rather not play either this week.
Right. Yeah, Ashton Davis stepped in really well last week for the Jets. Played really well, so I don't know if he's gonna be the guy or he was the guy last week because he was the option there. On a when Clark got injured in game. If they had a week to prepare, do they do things differently this week? So
yeah, that's my question. And then how does it all affect Tony Adams? I don't know. It's just a mess right now.
Yeah. No worries, Matthew. Appreciate your question. So with that said, Eric, we're going to wrap things up. best of luck to you and all of your teams in week 7. We'll see you back here next week in week 8. Have a fantastic week, and good luck to all your teams.